Hey everybody, Aaron here, and this is another anime review. And today I will be reviewing XxXHOLiC. This is my 79th review as of current. So, yeah, XxXHOLiC is actually a pretty old series now. It was a very popular series way back when, done by the people who made Clamp, or the development team Clamp, who does things like Card Captor Sakura or Tsubasa Chronicles, and XxXHOLiC was one of their, I think, most famous ones besides those two. Oh, Chobits was another one that they did. And you know what's funny is all their anime, like, I usually don't like talking about who does what in anime, because I don't want people to go, oh, I don't want to watch it because I hate their products. But with anything made by Clamp, it's kind of unavoidable because of the sheer fact that everything looks the same. But XxXHOLiC, I think, did something very cool where it took a very darker tone with its characters and the way they presented it. And I think you can see that right there from the image alone, that it goes for this darker, kind of darker tone image and more melancholy image at times. So the main story for XxXHOLiC is our main character, Kimihiro Watanuki. He is actually this typical high school boy. He's just goes around, he's kind of in love with this girl named Himawari. He loves her so much, he talks about it. But Watanari has one major issue. Watanuki, I'm sorry, I said Watanari. Watanuki has one major issue, and that he actually sees ghosts and demons. And that kind of plagues him. He can't handle them because he can't fight them back. It's not like where he has the power right now at the moment to fight them back or, expel them or exercise them. But he actually has to deal with them, like constantly berating and attacking him. And one day during a particular event, he's actually berated by so many that he's running for his life because he thinks that they're actually going to hurt him, and they start trying to the point that he ends up stumbling onto a weird shop in the middle of, like, seemingly nowhere, where he doesn't remember ever seeing this shop, even though it's an area that he's been to before. And he goes in there and meets a woman named Yuko, who's the girl on the left, actually, of the image. And Yuko claims that the shop is only visible to those who need the shop, those who deserve a wish to be fulfilled. And he ends up somehow working there part-time. He ends up, meeting a whole bunch of people who desperately need wishes to come true and desperately need their kind of hearts filled with emotions beyond the emotions that they're dealing with right now. So, for case in point, one girl is going through a lot of suicidal moments, and she really just needs kind of emergence from something happy. She needs to find a happy moment instead of being always in this dark, depressing place that she is in her heart. And she stumbles on the shop, and lo and behold is able to, I'm not going to spoil how, but through a various series of events, she's actually able to kind of reconcile with a lot of her issues that she had and find a happiness finally. And that's what this shop does. The shop helps people in ways that aren't always kind of perfect sense concepts. Sometimes it might be just a simple pep talk. Sometimes it might be exercising a demon. Sometimes it might be just dealing with a whole kind of inner world battle that they have to go through. And what's pretty cool about this is it actually has the same kind of plot line as a lot of the other Clamp products, where there actually are times where characters from other Clamp genres, especially Tsubasa, will actually show up in the anime just kind of random and happenstance wise. But it makes sense if you read those or you watch those series, because lo and behold that these worlds interconnect somehow. It's pretty cool. I think it's really done in a kind of niche way that isn't done too often in series, and I loved it. I always kind of loved Clamp because they do that so well. Like, if you guys don't know, Chobits, and I forgot the actual name of it, but there was a show that came out before Chobits, which was, I think, Angelic Layer, maybe? I want to say Angelic Layer, where they had little tiny robots, and that was actually the beginning parts to what made Chobits, essentially. So if you watch that show and then watch that, it's like the future. It tells like many, many years after. And I think it's cool. I love when anime series do that. Like, they keep their kind of genre tropes from within their series. I think that's nice. XxHOLiC does the same thing in a lot of ways. Now, XxHOLiC doesn't have a lot of issues, but it does have a few. One, it's a hard art style for people to like. These characters are very elongated. That's the best way I could put them, where their arms and legs are very long and kind of oddly shaped in many ways compared to the rest of their bodies. I personally didn't have an issue with it, but I know people that are like artists or even people who really are critiques of the animation industry, and they hate the series only because of that. Like, there's nothing else they hate about it, but they hate the art. And that might be a big thing for people to go through. If you can get past the art and the weirdness of it, you'll actually enjoy the series. I think it has a really nice romantical tale. It's done in a way that's kind of dark and also interesting. That's the best way I can put it. Like, I can't actually put a twist on how it's done in the way that it's just something different for back then. It was really different. You don't even see that even nowadays. I think XxxHOLiC stands the test of time in many ways because it does something that I don't see even nowadays done very often, with kind of the weird, kind of dark tones of both humor and melancholy, and also just kind of romance here and there. But this show has a little bit of every genre. It has a little bit of everything, just enough to kind of give it a feeling of almost like a book, or of different, like, or I want to say maybe akin to a book that has different stories in it, like one of those short story compilations. That's what kind of XxxHOLiC reminds me of a lot of ways. Now, the biggest issue, though, again, besides the art, also, is at times the show doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. It always feels like it's just random stories. Like, again, with the whole random story compilation, it feels like that sometimes. You know, there is an overarching story, but at times it's not there present. A lot of times you'll see it here and there brought up, but most of the time it's always kind of in the back burner compared to the random happenstances and, you know, Yuko and Watanuki dealing with the random people's issues that come into the shop. But overall, though, I highly recommend, if you really want something that's very different than your typical anime, and you're looking for something to kind of fill your void of, you know, the random harem anime and the, you know, stupid stuff that comes out nowadays sometimes, XxHOLiC is a great place to go. It really is, because it's something that it does things very different than most anime. And if I had to give it a review A through F, solid B+. You know, my only other issue, by the way, and I didn't even mention it, was it, compared to the manga, doesn't have a conclusive ending. It has an ending where it ends on a note that seems almost like it's open to more interpretations than anything else. And while I don't have an issue with that, I think in the story, when you start getting, because at one point of the story it does start getting it more into the backstory and the main kind of focal points of it, it then hits that note where it's like, oh yeah, it could be continued, but it probably won't be. And if you read the manga, the manga does have a conclusive ending, which is kind of sad in a lot of ways, but I really thought it was nice, and I kind of wish I would have saw that in the anime, but it's not a big deal. It's something that is really cool. And there is actually a newer version of XxHOLiC. I have not watched that yet, but if I do, I will actually put up a review of it. It's like not, I don't want to say it's that new, it's a little bit new. I think a couple years ago that came out, but it's like an updated version of it. Anyways, guys, that's it for this review, though. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Helps me out a lot. And as always, until I pass across again in the next review, have a good one, everyone. Bye.